I don't think we have a lot of overlap in viewers. It's okay if I just go ahead and immediately reprint this.
Yeah, that's fine. I usually like, I'm live, hey! It's like 10 seconds we're live, Richard, and he starts a fucking conversation. Like, everybody, thank you very much for coming back. I do realise that it has been a wee bit of a while, but if anyone, first of all, let me know that the video and the audio is coming through okay. But yeah, if anyone has been following me on Twitter or anyone close by, they know that me and the partner had we had a loss, and then I needed to take some time to deal with that. And genuinely, last week Richard was supposed to be here, and he emailed me, and I twittered him, and neither of us fucking checked my email, and he didn't check his Twitter. So then we missed each other last week. So we're here now. It's gone now. I appreciate everybody coming back. As I say, I know it's been a wee bit of a wee while, but should be getting back on track and stuff now. So Richard is here. For anyone who doesn't know Richard, do you want to introduce yourself, and I'll sort out the fucking chat box because it's so tiny.
Sure, love to. Okay, so my channel's Demolished Doctrine. In 2012, I saw, because of new information as an anti-theist, that what these ancient stories is describing is the end of religiosity. So I think that's the demolition of doctrine, that there will be no more doctrine, there'll be no more religion when these things are completed. So I'm trying to support what they're declaring the future will be by saying, let's start thinking about demolishing the doctrine right now.
You're a heretic.
Yes, a severe one, in fact.
That fixed the fucking chat now. The fucking chat's teeny tiny, nobody can see anything. Right, Richard, do you remember what we were at? Were we at chapter... We hadn't hit chapter 2 yet, had we?
Seems like we were reading the Bible, the book of Revelation, and we stopped at 9.
9. There we go. I knew it was round here somewhere. There we go. This, according to you, is where the actual story starts, which is why we took the break last week then, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, so the first, 8 chapters, 9 chapters was more of an introduction, more laying it down, and yeah, we ripped it apart. That's episode 1. So, Richard, I will pass it over to you. Can you read that okay? Have I got it big enough? Can the...
It looks fine to me, yeah.
Perfect, and the audience should be able to see that.
Of course, if you put us under it in the arrangement under instead of beside,
I've completely StreamYard is the way I have it. Like, does that suit you better?
Nope. All I see is a big picture of you. Oh, there we go.
How's that now?
Okay, as long as the audience doesn't care that no one can see your pretty face.
Oh no, everybody can see us. This is only for you, Richard. You're getting special treatment.
Oh, lovely.
So, as I said, Richard, with your beautiful voice, would you like to start into chapter 10 then?
I don't have a beautiful, but I'll use the one that I have, whatever that is. I, John, who also am your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ, was in the isle that is called Patmos for the word of God and for the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Now, just John, I am your brother and companion in tribulation. He's sending these out as letters to people he knows.
It certainly does appear that way on a surface reading, and is normally spoken of and thought of that way. I personally don't hold that as being the case. And here's some reason why, even just in this. This word tribulation, about midway in the top sentence there.
Companion in tribulation. Yes.
What's that?
Companion in tribulation.
Right. So companion means, brother or kin, or I'm going through this with you. And then the word tribulation here means the troubles of life. Okay. So he's a person who is going through with us the troubles of life. That works so far?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, companion in tribulation, if everyone's having a bad time, like, you could be my companion in tribulation if your week was as bad as my fucking last 2 weeks. Like, we could be companions in tribulation.
But mine was not nearly as bad as what you've been through, bro. No, nothing close to that. I mean, I have compassion for you, but no, I have not been through that. People say often that this is something that happens on the planet, the writing of John. Okay.
Pardon,
the problem with that is What's that?
Sorry, I missed that last bit. You just cut out.
Oh, sorry. It's been like that today. I said people think this is a reference to John writing this on this planet. Here's why I say that's not true. That he's in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ. So Jesus says several times, my kingdom is not of this world. I don't really belong here. I'm just kind of stuck here, things like that. So obviously to be in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ is to be in the place that is the kingdom of Christ, which is heaven, not the earth. So there's always that argument.
I can understand where you're coming from. I think we argued that in episode 1. It's a wee bit semantical, like, you know, my opinion, your opinion, you know, being in the presence of someone, being in the presence of God specifically, right? I am in your presence right now, but we are digital. If someone was sitting beside me, I would definitely be in their presence, but we already have a physical proof that they're there. We already know that they're there. With the way people look at it from God, you know, I'm not going to say and put words in your mouth, but omnipotent, omnipresent, all these fucking things. He's everywhere all the time. So you can be in God's presence, you know, without having to be in heaven, so to speak.
Right. That could be in the patience of. I'll agree with that. But I don't think it can be in the kingdom of, because the kingdom is a specific, not earth thing.
Taken literally, yes.
Okay. And calling it Patmos. I have not looked up the word Patmos, what it means recently, and I can't recall what it means, and would probably add to this.
Right.
And it's there that he receives the word of God for the testimony of Jesus Christ. Okay, but we already know that Jesus Christ is the one that's reciting this to John, that he is that angel of God. We already know that, yes?
You believe that, yes.
Okay, well, I think it becomes evident really soon, right after these letters.
Okay, go on ahead with chapter 11.
Well, I want to preface what I'm going to say, because I think this is a reasonable way to look at it, even though it's not intuitive, it's not obvious, it's not evident on an initial reading. That what's about to follow here is the 7 spirits of God describing themselves to John as churches of Asia. And of course, I think it was just before this or just after this, we see that churches mean spirits, and that candlesticks are those angels, which are the spirits of God. So something like that. And that sounds, I don't know a better way to say it, but it sounds slightly disconnected.
So
it's the next line.
You're going to preface this by saying that the 7 churches are actually 7 angels telling their 7 stories to John.
Each one of them representing a spirit of God, which is why there's 7.
Right, go on ahead.
Okay. I was in the Spirit in the Lord's day. That could mean prayer, or, I don't know, mushroom psychedelic experience. And heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet. Trumpet's going to come up several times. I'm going to address it later. Saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. What thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candles. So he doesn't see who's talking. He sees this other vision.
Right, but the thing talking tells him to write these stories down and send them to the 7 churches. So if it says send these to the 7 churches, how can they be the 7 churches?
Right.
Like, why would you send a letter to yourself?
Oh, because the Father and the Son are not perfectly connected. They're not the same being. They're not the same personage. And the Son needs informed.
So this is to go to what I would refer to as the new Jesus coming from the old Jesus, which is the committee of God.
Yes, that's what I believe is true in this, yeah.
Right. So the committee of God is speaking about the 7 churches. The 7 churches is probably a previous story that's happened on a previous earth from your point of view. And they are wanting this.
Several times, yeah.
And they want this story then to be passed on to the Jesus of this earth.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Right. As long as I'm following, I don't think that what you're saying makes sense, but as long as I'm following what you're saying, then we're at least halfway there.
And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. In the midst of the 7, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed in a garment down to the foot, girt about the paps or top of the chest, with a golden girdle, something like a breastplate, a war breastplate, something like that. His head and his hairs white as wool, white as snow. His eyes as flames of fire. That's going to be important. Actually, all of this is important. And his feet like unto fine brass, if they burned in a furnace, or like glowing hot brass. His voice is the sound of many waters. He had his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp, here's the 7 again, and a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in its strength.
Right, so the main candlestick, one of these candlesticks has now morphed, transformed from the candlestick into a man.
No, he's in the middle of the 7.
Right.
He's surrounded by the 7 candlesticks. And in his right hand,
in the midst of the candlesticks,
7
one
stars.
like unto. Right.
Okay, so this is a very specialized phrase, one like unto the Son of Man.
Mm-hmm.
Son of Man it's kind of a nickname for Jesus, something like that. It appears only 50 times throughout all of the Bible, and I think it's defined enough to know that it means Jesus, unless you have an objection.
Jesus.
Well, it means Jesus Christ. To say a Jesus Christ isn't quite right when Jesus is an idea to be followed.
Yeah, well, and from what I understand from you is that there's a Jesus in every world.
There is someone who does the job of Jesus on any earth, yes.
Right, so this one that's walking out from it could have been a previous one.
Oh, he's definitely a previous one because he recalls the whole experience.
So he's a Jesus. He is a person who has previously done the job of Jesus on another planet.
That's good enough, yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's not wrong.
Right. Some people would
wrong.
disagree.
It's just kind of a funny way to say it. It's like saying, oh gosh, it's like saying a democratic society, right? And then you say, well, there's democratic societies. That's the democratic society.
Yeah.
Right. And then you refer back to any one of them and call it the only one, which doesn't really work.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Right. We're fighting over semantics again. We've got the point. I understand where you're coming from. That's the main thing. Not like the audience needs to, but
well, maybe sometime in the future we'll see.
That's why I'm here. I'm translating.
Okay, so the sharp 2-edged sword. This is something just like eSword and MySword are websites with the Bible on them. The sharp 2-edged sword is a Bible standard phrase meaning the truth. Specifically a spoken truth.
I think I've heard something like that before, yeah.
Right. So there's written truth, which is stone, and then there's spoken truth, which is sword. And this is a standard way of using those words. His countenance as the sun shineth in its strength. This is how his face is like the face of God, or how he is God, something like that.
Lots of oil of you lay, the man's glowing.
Yeah, man's face shineth.
Like this right now with the fucking ring light shining my face. I'm very godlike at the minute.
Yes, you have an immense countenance. So this 18, I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore.
Oh, you missed 17. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet.
You're right, I did. Thanks.
And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, fear not, for I am the first and the last.
Right. And you're going to find this repeatedly everywhere but the book of Ezekiel, where the messenger is very gentle and kind and like tries to assure the fainting prophet or whatever. Except for the book of Ezekiel, and that's noteworthy, but another conversation. And I think that's the only thing that's really interesting right there in 17.
Yeah.
I am he that liveth in. So here you go with those threes I was talking about before. I was talking about where it describes 3 situations to describe the individual.
Yeah.
I am he that lives but was dead. Well, you can't say something like God used to be dead. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make sense.
No, but it does for a whole resurrection thing with Jesus.
Right, right, exactly. It's describing a resurrection and a lack of death after that resurrection. Exactly.
Or he could be, you see, again, that's taking it literal, right?
What do you mean by taking it literal?
I am liveth and I was dead, and now he's back, right? He is the first, the last. He is the Omega, the Alpha, you know. Sure. It's a reinforcement of that idea. It could be seen as a reinforcement of that idea. It doesn't have to be.
You could look at that as contradictory, because to say the Alpha and the Omega is to say the beginning and the end. And if you were of the absolute beginning, how could you ever have been dead?
You can die at the end.
Well, he's dead halfway through, apparently, because he lives forevermore.
I'm just saying it doesn't have to be taken literal. I ain't no scholar.
So I think this is trying to differentiate between being the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, and him who can die and be brought back, evidently. So he's saying, I am of that, but I am not that.
Fear not, I am the first and the last. I am that liveth and dead. Right? It's not. It's all. It's not a full stop there. That's a colon. I know there's no punctuation back then, but it's taken as a separate verse. You know, it's okay. Right. I think it's all part of the one.
A lot of people felt that was a topic change there. Yeah, that's what that. Well, that's why it's a separate verse.
Okay.
So there was a change in tone somehow. So they said, "Oh, that needs to be its own separate sentence." And you're right. There's nothing in the Hebrew about, I'm sorry, the Greek translated from more ancient texts that should be necessarily structured that way.
Yeah, if you said it all as one part without stopping, then it could be taken as one sentence, you know, where he says, I am the first and the last, and then directly says, I am that liveth and was dead. So you might necessarily not say that it's trying to make a separation. It's all one thing.
Right. I think it definitely is one thing. In fact, I would have put quotes around all of that as one quote.
Right.
And
verse 19, write the stuff down. Things are going to happen.
Then, keys of hell and of death.
Where do you go?
He has the end of 18.
Yeah.
Amen. And have, as in I have, the keys of hell and of death. So the keys meaning power over, something like that. Which is not an unusual way to look at that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. 19. Writing these things, write these things which thou hast seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall be hereafter, the mystery of the 7 stars. Let's just stop at 19. Write these things which thou hast seen. Where in this book is John's experience in life? I mean, he mentions that he's in Patmos.
Patmos, yeah. This is where he writes that he's experiencing this right now.
Right, but when does he write things that he has past tense seen? Where's that?
Well, he's possibly about to see them. I haven't read Revelations in a while.
No, it says that too. And things which are, and things which shall be hereafter. So that was past, present, future. So where does he write of his past if this is not the writing of him writing his past? Well, then he didn't do it. In which case, I have to wonder why that line's there.
Like people say past, present, and future, you know? It's a phrase that we would use. I would understand if it was a phrase that they used to describe everything around them. What's going to happen.
Sure, but that would be your past experience. This is one of the reasons that I say John already had the experience, because it says he does.
No, it says, write the things thou hast seen, and you're interpreting it that he's already experienced everything that happens there after this, specifically because of, you know, one word, which hast seen. Sorry, 2 words.
Okay. So the only thing that he saw before this was the one like unto the Son of Man amidst the candlesticks.
Yeah.
Is it giving him permission to write what he just saw?
If I arrived with a story to tell you, right? and I burst into the room, glowing, on flames, floating shit, floating candlesticks around me, you would be a gasp, right? You would be a little shocked. What the fuck's Robbie doing on fire with candlesticks?
2011, I'd have been really shocked.
You'd have been slightly shocked, right? You may not have come over and begged and bowed down before me, but you'd have come over and you'd have been a bit shocked. I then would have said to you, right, what I want you to do is write down everything that's happened. Write down my entrance, which is in the past. Write down, I'm telling you this, and then the story that I'm going to tell you now, I want you to write that down too. He has seen something that's relevant to it. You know, I would want you to include my entrance, because an epic entrance, of course, on flames, floating candlesticks, it's brilliant. But it's something you have seen. It's also relative to the story. So not necessarily that his entire life has been what's going to happen in the book. Just what happened in that previous paragraph. That's what I'm talking about.
That works pretty good. I see it slightly different than that. That he has actually already been all through this, although he's following the instructions as the angel gives it.
Yeah, you're taking the entire story that he's accepted. But if I walked into the room and said, I want you to write down my entrance, that's a different way of saying write down what you've already seen.
I can see taking it either way. I really can.
Of course you are. You're not going to fucking change your view because of my stupid comment, but you know, thank you.
No. I just no, I didn't. I didn't say that. I didn't say that I'm refusing the way you're looking at it. I'm saying I can see the way that you're looking at it, and it makes sense.
Right. Good.
Which is not the same thing as agreeing nor rejecting.
If we agreed, we wouldn't have a show.
Well, there you have it.
Right. I go for 20 then, right? The mystery of the 7 stars. Ooh, very, very epic. The mystery of the 7 stars, which thou hast sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches.
So I don't know how a person can look at that and say it's letters to ancient churches in the ancient Near East, because he's saying what it is, and it doesn't mean like groups of people in buildings in foreign places. There's nothing about that there.
The mystery of the 7 stars, which thou sawest in my right hand, are the 7 and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches. Right, so the 7 stars that are in his hand are representations of the 7 churches, as with the 7 candlesticks. At the start of this, he's writing the letter and lists the churches that he's sending the letters to. So the guy that wrote this, his interpretation of hearing this and seeing this is to write the letters to the church. Because it's at the start of it. He listed them.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't necessarily, again, it's that because they used angels and it doesn't have to be taken literal.
I think it would be easy to say something like the Hebrew words, which was very colloquial usage. But this is Greek, and it's very much written just like this and not subject to much interpretation. So if it says the 7 stars are the angels. I'm not
disagreeing if we take the word angel out and go look it up what it is in the Greek, and the Greek then tells us what it is. I'm saying the phrase can be used. As you say, it just comes out of our mouth like we do. We have phrases and things that we say. And like you referenced earlier, you know, when they said this phrase, this is what they mean, because it's the way they used it back then. Not necessarily saying that the angels are definitely angels.
Right. More like spirits of the church, because the angel is obviously not the church.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're saying the angel it's an angel and not a church.
Right. I mean, it's the angel represents the church, or the church represents the angel, depending on how you want to look at that. That the angel is not a church, because a church is a group of persons who are volunteer worshipers of God, and an angel is not a group of persons.
It says churches more than it says angels. It says angels and candlesticks just as fucking relative. And you know, why are you not seeing them as just candlesticks?
I don't think you can do it by consensus, which term does it use more often, but I think in the context here, it's saying that when you see the seven churches, it means an angel.
Or it's using angels, spirit of the church, as a representation to say the body of the church. You know, the face.
That's fine, but we're right back to seven spirits.
All right, go on. Chapter 2 then.
Which is kind of why I'm saying it in the first place, because it's talking about seven spirits. Oh boy. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, these things saith he that holdeth the seven stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the seven golden candlesticks. So again, one who is like unto the Son of Man. I know thy works, and thy labor, thy patience, and thou how canst not bear them which are evil, and thou hast tried them which say they are apostles, which means they're not apostles. Had to find it again, and are not, and hast found them liars, and hast borne, and hast patience, and for my name's sake has labored, and has not fainted. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. And I think I should stop right there, because I think it's important. What does first love? What do you think your first love was?
Hold on, I'm going to reread it here. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, these things saith he that holdeth the seven stars in his right hand, walketh in midst. Right. So go to the church of Ephesus and tell them that I told you this. So it's a big, long, fucking drawn out way of saying this big glowy guy that walked out of the candlesticks and had seven things in his hand. This fucking floating candlesticks, epic entrance. Have to listen to him. Right? He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's working. He knows that it's hard because of the patience. And he's trying to say that they're apostles, but they're not. He's found them liars. Right, so the people who's in charge of the church, the angels of the church, the leaders of the church, are liars.
Right. You know that people didn't call themselves apostles of Christ back then.
That is very much.
You only had like the main apostles, the actual apostles, and actually it's a recent thing for people to start claiming apostleship. Very, very recent.
I would believe that, yes.
Okay, so what's he talking about? Some church in Asia where people are claiming to be apostles and weren't? Because no such thing happened as far as I know.
Of course not.
You know,
if I tried to tell a story and I tried to put it out and, you know, push the story that I could fly and make candlesticks float right now, and it failed within, you know, whatever time it failed, a week, because everybody was like, that man's crazy, candlesticks can't float. You're not going to hear about it 2,000 years later because it failed.
Wait, I'm trying to see where your brain is at, and I don't get it.
Right, if I tried to put forward a story, an idea.
You mean they, through time, they got rid of the occurrence of people doing that?
No, I'm just saying that even though it's a recent thing, it doesn't negate the fact that in the past people could have claimed apostleship.
Could have, yes. But it doesn't make any sense.
Because it would be shut down. Because
it'd be shut down before it ever got off the ground. Nobody
exactly. So you wouldn't hear about it now. This is the point I'm making. When you say, why would you not have heard of that? Because people would have just disregarded it because it's, as you say.
Well, then why is it worth correcting if it didn't happen and it doesn't make sense and nobody would accept it?
Because these seven churches are the main things that the stories are going out to. So we have to make this, it has to be epic. It has to be these people. It's, you know, stories are taken to extremes over time, remember. Verbal, then written down.
Sure, of course.
So you've got a guy who wants to be the leader of the church, that started off as the leader of the community, started off as the leader of the classroom, and over time he is then claiming to have been an apostle, even though he probably didn't. because that would be insane. But that's why you use it in a story, because it is so insane, because it's so epic, to make a point.
Okay, that's not really going to work if Chinese whispers is also a thing. If I can say something like people change the story over time to suit what they think the story should be. If I can say something like that.
To a point we're in agreement.
Okay. Then I can't simultaneously say
a story can change over time via Chinese whispers
I'm not arguing
and be changed into what you want it to be.
And you're distracting me, and I'm never going to get this thought out if you keep doing it.
All right.
It's a difficult thought. These are not simple things. Then if I trace that backward, the further I go back in time, the more accurate the statement. So this is written at that time, within a couple hundred years or so. It wouldn't make sense to say something like, back then it was okay for people to claim apostleship who weren't. In fact, there was big argument over Paul being an apostle because he just claims it apparently out of nowhere. What's that?
Doesn't say in this that they said that it was okay to claim apostleship. They're saying the opposite. No. There'd be nothing to correct.
There would have been no reason to write this back then. People would not have been claiming apostleship because it would be evident they weren't apostles. The only time you could claim something like that is well after the Chinese whispers and people have lost track of everything. And then you could claim to be an apostle. But you couldn't do it immediately. Not within a couple hundred years. No one would accept that.
Immediately in a couple of hundred years are not the same, Richard.
that in spans of time, like spans of Bible time, eons.
In spans of generations of people, we're talking lifespans,
Sure.
100 years of people.
Let me put it this way. I met Jesus last week.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Great guy. You'd love him.
Did he buy you a pint? Did he buy you a cup of tea? Did he buy you a sandwich?
No, he's alcohol free. In fact, he's a vegan.
Well, it was just, did he buy you anything? Was he
He's
nice?
just been alive this long, and he's just
been
in hiding. And he just decided to come out of hiding.
Right, so that's ended that conversation then. Back to the Revelations.
You see why that wouldn't work? You'd have to first believe that someone could have lived for like 2,000 years in hiding. There's no way you're going to buy that. That's not going to happen. In order for someone to have been an apostle, when Revelation became something that became part of the Bible, that person had to be 300 years old. Ish.
Okay.
So it's not long enough to dismiss the term apostle where you can just willy-nilly. Jesus' Lord is now claiming to be both doctor and sergeant. Jesus is Lord. And he can get away with that somewhat. But it's because people don't really respect what those terms mean anymore. The same way that people don't really respect, oh my gosh, what's that guy? There's so many preachers on TV calling themselves apostle nowadays.
Yes,
that would never have been acceptable when this was written. I think that's where the problem came
up with at the very start, because you're using the definition of apostle as someone who traveled with Jesus, where apostle is now used as a synonym for prophet. Would that be correct?
Well, to my lips, synonym, but yeah.
Thank you. I'm bad at English, but synonym would be prophet. And that's the definition that they're using now.
Yes, they are.
That's what I was applying to this.
Oh, okay, so then they are liars. They are not apostles. They're actually prophets and probably false prophets. So yes. They call themselves apostles, and they are not, and that they have been found to be liars.
Yes, that's what I'm getting from it.
Whereas 300 years after Jesus died in the year 0,
I don't think it's a zombie. I didn't think it was a zombie. I thought it was someone claiming power of authority, someone of
right.
Yes,
right, absolutely. But that you wouldn't be able to call yourself apostle when this book was acceptable.
Under the definition that you're saying, acceptable. Yes.
Okay, that was a long way around, but we got there.
That's the problem. What we started from was we were using different definitions. This is why you define words at the start of a conversation, people. Right.
It sure does help.
We've rambled on for fucking long enough. Where are we now? Chapter 3 then, Richard.
And hast borne in his patience and for my name's sake have labored and have not fainted. Nevertheless, have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. And I want to ask you what you think your first love, or any human's first love, is.
Completely different fucking cultures for a start.
What's that?
This story and where I live, you know, completely different.
I think it's a human thing. I don't think it's an area thing.
But like, you know, because thou hast left, right? Because thou hast left thy first love. Okay.
Right.
If I'm looking at, say, we're going to use you as an example, and just you've been in a Christian family your entire life, you left it, right? And I am a priest, a prophet, a man of God, trying to bring you back. I'm going to say you left your first love, because that's a loaded statement, and I'm making the statement that God is your first love. So in this context of this story, I could see someone using it as a leading question and implying that it would be God as their first love.
Could be. Do you think that even a religious person, God was their first love?
No. I'm saying that in the context of this, it could be put across and trying to lead that way. I'm trying to anticipate where you're going as well.
Yeah, that's not going to work out very good.
I usually get it right. It's okay. I know you why.
No, you've gotten it right a lot, but not on this topic.
Right. Well, you tell me, because that's what I'm getting from this. That's from what I'm getting
literally,
from this.
What was your first love? For real. Actually, you personally, your first love, what was that?
What it was or who it was.
Or who it was, whatever.
I don't really love materialistic things. So yes, everybody has a first love.
Okay, what was the first love?
Well, if you're talking about a person, there was, you know, I don't know, probably Sarah.
And before that, you didn't have any love before that for anything?
I had relationships before that, but I didn't have genuine love for anything.
Okay, I think if we look this up, there's going to be agape love. This isn't going to be like a sexual or
This is why I'm asking you, man, what were you talking about? So agape is one of the 7 types of love. But which one is it?
I'll just cut to the chase and not torture you. I think a person's first love before they even love their mom is a love of learning. Because how would you even come to know who your mom was if you didn't learn that?
It doesn't mean you have to love it. You can be... You know.
No. Everyone loves learning, especially babies.
Babies are curious because they have an empty mind, so to speak. You know, I wouldn't say it's a love for learning. Babies are curious.
Okay, I'm still going to take this as human love of learning. I think that's everyone's first love.
Right. Well, can I ask the audience, do they think that that's a leap? Right? Give us your answer, because, you know, seeing thy first love as instantly, and not even a baby's curiosity where we could both agree on, it's a baby's love for learning.
Well, I think saying curiosity and love of learning is probably about saying the same thing in 2 different ways.
To a point, but I'm going to be semantical because it's what makes the show. Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll come back to that in a minute when they've had time to respond if they'd like. Remember, therefore, from what's that?
I says they probably won't reply. Nobody's replying. They're all typing and not listening to us. It's fine. Go on ahead.
Okay, that's cool too.
Okay, we got one from Dargendorp, and he says it's a huge leap. It's like saying sponges love water.
What? Yes, it is like saying, why is that a leap? Sponges must love water.
Oh. No, they need water.
Okay, they need it. It's an intrinsic part of how they survive.
It's also an analogy.
What, do you think there's a starfish somewhere going, man, I hate being in the ocean?
No, because it's like me walking around going, fuck, this air is annoying me.
It's all they know. It's in their nature that there can't be a something else.
Yes, and with babies, that's all they've experienced. That's all their nature.
That's all I'm saying.
They don't know anything else.
That's what I'm saying. It's in their nature. First love. First love.
Okay, we're going to disagree on this. All right? As someone, there you go. I might as well say babies love oxygen.
Of course we do.
We need.
Well, I think learning is a preference. It's an awareness thing.
Requirement
I
for
think
living.
that's how it can be a little bit better than just ocean water.
Robbie
or
puts it perfectly.
breathing.
A requirement for living is not
Yeah.
love.
A requirement for living is not learning is not a requirement for living. So I don't know about this comparison.
Oh, but from a baby's point of view, it definitely is. If you don't learn and you
they
don't
do
figure out, you're going to die.
They don't know that.
We're just going to go down an evolutionary route here, and that's a totally different conversation with you, and we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, I think the disagreement is stupid. The way this is being... I'm sorry, I think it's stupid.
In with the fucking knife, right? All right. I'll take the knife in the heart. Take the knife in the heart.
Look, the first thing we love is not our first girlfriend when we're 14. We love stuff before that. That's not the way it works. You can go back in that kind of romantic love and the basis and roots of that and say, parental or maternal love, and say, well, okay, I love my mom, but then you have to ask, well, did you love your mom the first thing? Was that the first thing that you loved? No.
This is why I asked you for your definition of agape, but I can't say that I'm not going to agree that the first love is learning. All right, I agree with you that I may be wrong, and we're taking a different version of love and this and love and that, and one's girlfriends and stuff, and the other's isn't, right? But I can't say that when... Like a fucking deer is born and can walk within 3 minutes, right? So did it love learning to walk, or did it need to get up and fucking walk to survive?
They dance.
Whataboutism.
They sure act like they love it.
Moving on, because we're gonna fucking disagree.
So it also has to be something you can leave and return to. That's the next line here. Remember, therefore, from whence thou art fallen, and repent, and do the first works. Or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will remove thy candlestick out of his place, except thou repent. So you have to be able to go back to it, too. So there's a qualifier.
Well, does repent necessarily mean you recapture it?
No, repent means to stop a wrong thing you're doing now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So remember therefore whence thou art fallen, and repent, and do the works first, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and remove the candlestick out of his place.
Right, first works. So the first works refers back to first love that you have to return to. Return to your first works. Or else the whole thing can be ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So whatever this is about, it apparently had it, left it, needs to go back to it.
Right. Go on ahead.
I don't know how to get around it. Anyway, I don't see how it could be something fundamental to life, like, okay, you need to drink water or breathe air. And it can't be a girlfriend either. Because how are you going to go back to your girlfriend? You left.
Right, and then would you agree?
40
right,
years,
would you then agree with me that it is possible?
38 years ago.
Would you then agree with me that it's possible that my original interpretation of this was somebody being loaded and implying that the first love was Christianity, religiosity, whatever religion they were in, and they have now lost it, and they're not religious anymore, and if they continue down that route, they're going to take your candlestick off. You need to go back and be religious again.
That still works pretty good, doesn't it?
That was my original
you can still read it that way. Right. But I don't think that any religion is anyone's first love.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying is it's not John that is describing it as his first love. It is the man telling him. Okay?
Right.
So it's a pastor, a leader in the church, someone of this wanting to get you back to the church. So they will say whatever fuck is necessary because they believe they are correct. They are truthful.
Well, actually, this would be more like Jesus endorsing whatever church John was born into, or the intended reader was born into.
Under your interpretation.
Wait, how do you get around that?
Well, you believe what happened under your interpretation, and you're saying it has to be this way. And you say
Wait, no, you said this. I didn't say this. Hold on. You said this. You said go back to your religion.
Yes.
Okay, if that's what it means, it's Jesus saying go back to your religion.
Yes.
Okay, which means Jesus is endorsing that religion.
Jesus is religion, you know, whatever it is, that your faith, okay? You have faith in Christ, you have lost it. Christ has just appeared in front of you with floating candlesticks and telling you, you need to go back to Christ.
Except this is talking to a group, it's just John's writing it down.
This is Jesus talking to John.
No, not about John, though. He's not talking about John.
No.
Okay, it's supposed to be sent to some church in Ephesus.
Yeah, there's like 3 different things have overlapped here now, right? What chapter?
I mean, it's not a letter to a singular individual, is it?
It's 7
It sure sounds like it is.
Yes, it's.
I mean, just this letter.
Yes, sent out to 7 churches. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I've even lost because you've went topic, mentioned about 4 different things. I don't even know what point I'm making now.
Okay,
you're saying the first love has to be learning from a child's point of view. I disagree in that. I'm saying that the interpretation that I'm taking from this is a man of the faith, man of the church, whatever you want to call it, is coming and saying to a person, you've lost your first love. It's not the person who's saying, yes, you are correct. It's the religious person saying, you've lost it, you need to come back. Right. And that's what they're implying upon the person. Not that the person has to agree with it, but if you have a pastor saying to you, you've lost your first love and you need to come back to us, then they are going to understand what the man is talking about because of the context of the situation, and they are going to know that the man is talking about faith, religion, the church, whatever.
Well, let me see if this works as like a letter that some preacher gets and reads out to the entirety of his church in Ephesus.
This is a letter being sent to a man in the fucking church because the man's clearly been being called out for being a liar.
No, actually, he's being complimented, saying you didn't put up with their crap and you already understood they're liars.
Yes, the people in the church are liars. You have Jesus.
But the people in the church wouldn't be calling themselves apostles either.
That's right. We went over that, and that was just a different definition that we were both using. So now this is what I'm saying. You're
prophets. They wouldn't be calling themselves prophets either. It doesn't matter what the term is right there. They wouldn't be calling themselves that.
I never said that they were. I said faith, church, whatever. You've stopped me now 4 times, and now I'm trying to get my point out. Okay. And I'm saying it like you're not hearing the words that's coming out of my mouth. Okay.
Or I'm not processing them correctly, probably.
The person, you have Jesus, and he is talking to John about 7 churches. The people in the 7 churches we have established, their people in charge are liars.
No.
It fucking said it. Hast found them liars.
Okay, who's supposed to be reading it? And what would they be reading then? Yes, I know that. Let's say that the letter went out and it got received by the preacher of Ephesus church, right? He picks it up, he reads it. It reads, I know your works and your labor and your patience and how you cannot bear them which are evil.
And I know you're a liar.
It's not saying the preacher's a liar. It's saying you found outliers. It doesn't read, oh preacher, you're a liar. It doesn't read that at all.
So who's the liars then, if not the preachers?
Something other than the person who receives the letter is the liars.
And have we been implemented? Do we know what it is or who they are?
Sure, they're the fake apostles.
Who are the fake apostles?
Anyone who's saying they're an apostle and is not.
So I'm going to say it for now like the 4th time. We're not understanding each other, so can we move on? All right? I'm going to go back to the original point, and I'm just going to flat out say I don't agree that you can accept a first love is a child's want for learning.
Okay.
That
and
was
the
the
reason I'm
point
going
that
to
started
say
this. That's what I'm disagreeing on.
and the reason I'm going to say that is because if a preacher,
I'm saying that the interpretation that
done.
the person's saying is he's implying to the person that he's talking to that their first love is the church, is faith, is whatever, and that they should come back to it. That was the original thing that I'm disagreeing on. That's what I'm sticking to.
Right.
You either agree with it or you don't, but we're just rambling. We need to move on.
Okay, I don't think this is nearly that small or easy to dismiss.
But you're not, right. Can you see someone in modern days doing exactly what I've said that just happened?
Today, yes.
You can see a person from a church coming and implying to another person that their first love was the church and that they should come back to the church.
Today, yes.
And you can't see that ever happening before. You
I
can't
didn't
see
say I
anyone
can't see
in
that
the church.
ever happening before.
Yes. So we agree then that this is possible.
No. Sure, it's possible. It just doesn't seem to be the context of the letter. After all, he hadn't left his church.
I'm not talking
or
about
else,
John.
How's he going to receive the letter if he left the church?
I'm not talking about John.
I'm not talking about John either. I'm talking about the person at the church, aren't you? How's he going to receive the letter to read it if he left the church?
I never said anything about the person at the church. I'm talking about the person who you have described as the Son of God, as the Son of Man, or whatever it is. Jesus is talking to John. Right. Jesus is the priest, and he could be saying the words.
Oh, I see now.
You know, your first love is the church. You need to come back. And specifically, if it was Jesus, it's like, your first love is me. You need to come back to me.
Wait, you're assuming John's the intended reader of the letter that John is writing down. Why are you doing that? Why do you think John's the intended reader of this letter?
Man is telling the story to John.
Right.
I'm repeating myself over and over again. I don't understand any other way to describe what I'm saying. So, like, you know, we're just going round in circles.
Okay, John and Jesus are at location A. The letter's being written down by John.
And I did this 2 minutes ago when I waved my arms over and I tried to describe it by saying the church was here and you've John and Jesus here. We're doing the same things and you didn't get my point. And we're going around in circles.
Okay, then the letter's going to be sent out to somewhere else. Someone else is going to read it, yes?
After party, Richard. We'll come back to this. Do you want to do an after party and go all night?
I can't. I got to go grocery shopping with Beck. We're fixing... there's a displaced young man. It's so sad. Who has no place to be because of really traumatic things that happened with their parents. Okay? And Beck's significant other is going to provide a domicile. And we're creating a domicile out of a garage. And I wouldn't put that off for anything.
No, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
You do that.
Yep.
Right. What the fuck chapter verse were we fucking on, like?
Oh, I'll keep track of that. Don't worry about
it. No, 5, 6. Where the fuck are we?
We're in there somewhere, buddy.
Go, Richard. Go on.
It's going to be okay next to him. Okay. But this thou hatest, hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitanes, which I also hate. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. So now the tree of life from the Garden of Eden is in the midst of the paradise of God. I just want everyone to notice that. I think it's important that and you'll hear people say, oh, I have an objective reading frame. This an ear to hear part is showing, I think, exclusivity. saying that not everyone who reads in this is going to get it. What do you think, Robbie?
Right, but thou hatest the deeds. Right, doesn't like the Nickelodeons. All right, we're going to call them the Nickelodeons.
It's easier to say. Why not?
Right. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit. So I don't. That language to me is not necessarily a person. That's saying anyone who has an ear, let them hear what the Spirit says.
But it definitely doesn't say that everyone's going to have an ear for this. It definitely means it's some kind of a group or exclusive.
Yes, I don't necessarily would agree that that's one person. I would say that could be a lot.
Might not be. It could be, but it's definitely not everybody who reads is going to get it.
Definitely not everybody. No.
Okay, cool.
Right, to him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is the midst of the paradise. So, going with your belief system, that's basically saying, listen to me, you get it right, you come up and join the spaceship, you get to live in the spaceship and keep your body and all that crack.
And as we go through these letters, which is not going to be today, each of the letters end with a promise like this. So this one's the promise of enjoying the paradise of God, the tree of life, right?
Yeah.
But I want everyone to notice as they see each ending on each letter that there's an additional promise at the end of each letter. And they just keep getting bigger. Just like at the beginning of this, calling them kings and priests. Well, who's kings and priests? Well,
kings and priests could be the same fucking thing. Back in the day, they were.
No, king and priest is the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean some of us became kings and some of us became priests. It reads that we this entire group have been made kings and priests, both. So
I don't know
if you ask modern Christians,
is it you that's worse at tangenting, or is it me?
No, it's not tangenting. It's necessary. It's necessary context to understand the rest of it. So you could, it probably looks like a tangent. No, it's really needed to be there.
Right. So that's the end of the first letter. He that of the ear, let him hear the Spirit say unto the churches, to him that overcometh I will eat the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. Right
on. Which is interesting because it's supposed to be in the Garden of Eden as well, or something like that.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
And that's the end of that letter. And next at 8 begins Smyrna, and I think we should save that for next time.
Yeah, I was just looking at the times and stuff and all. Like, if you've got stuff to do, that's important. Like, so yeah. Right. Next week, set aside 2 hours. We'll maybe have an after party if you've got time. We'll get other people in and get them to.
I think I'll have time next week because I'll be wrapping up this little bit of work for that young man in the next 2 days, 3 days.
Perfect. Right. Well, on that, we're chapter 8. I'll bring it back to here. Richard, a little heated this week, back and forth, but that's
according
good.
To who?
Huh?
According to who? I could get a lot more heated.
I was gonna fucking hit you.
Still be okay.
I need a cricket bat, all right, where it just says "Listen, Richard" down it, and I can smash it against the camera every now and again.
It would probably be effective in correcting me as far as I would comply, just for the sheer violence of it. But that doesn't fix that John isn't the intended reader. It doesn't fix that.
Well, I had fun. It's always good to do it. I want to thank everybody that's come back and watched, and it'll definitely be the Tuesday nights now. Richard, you don't work Thursdays anymore. Are you working? You're working Thursdays now.
I work Wednesday, Thursday until way too late, and you should have been in bed.
Right. So Tuesday nights, this is the new time history of. We'll be going through this until we get through to the end of Revelations. So this will definitely be happening every Tuesday now. We've established a communication form that we both understand. All right. So we're landed.
That is, Robbie overdoes it because Richard's an idiot. Something like that.
I just cover every base, all right? Every form that's possible.
No, as soon as it becomes a habit, like the 3rd or 4th session, then I'll know, my brain will kick automatically, and I'll know that it's supposed to be there.
It gets a pattern. Little notes, post-its.
It's a pattern, yeah.
You know, put post-its up.
That's what, actually,
That's fucking Post-its.
Literally, I have to. I'm not kidding you.
Right. Well, on that, thank you everybody for coming back and watching. Thank you, Richard, and your wonderful voice for reading most of it. I have got the corona, so I don't know. Might be randomly streaming if I get fucking bored. I don't think we've got Canon Wars is next week. That'll be over in Savage's channel. Shit, I have a lot of questions to fucking do for that yet. So, yeah, other than that, thanks to everybody that's came back and watched. Thanks to Richard. Thanks to all the people who support the channel. Supporting this week would be really, really nice, as I'm off week now for the fucking second week in a row in a fucking month. So if anybody could help out, PayPal's always fucking there. And yeah, other than that, love everybody. Come back, we'll find something, we'll have more people on, and other than that, we'll see you back next week with me and Richard.
Wait, time out. Before you do that, okay, Robbie's not proud, he's only responsible. He could use some help right now. If you got a little extra cash laying around, he could use some help, okay? Now, he likes being responsible. He doesn't like to ask, and that's why he said that so damned fast. But if you like the guy, send him some bucks. You know, it'll be all right.
The internet's happening. Yeah, look, there's the internet. So, Richard, thank you. Appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that helps out and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll see you back here next week. And hopefully during the week, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll try gaming. I don't know if my computer can handle it, but we'll try. And other than that, people, think for yourselves. Disagree with everything Richard says, because that's the way he likes it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can find the outro.